Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm familiar with the NES version of this game because I've played some of it for a while, you know, and we had a whole match, and I vastly prefer the Game Boy version over the NES version. With that said, that was a little bit, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone's rough days, you know, trying to climb up the mountain. Well, up next, we have a game called Dragooned. This is by the makers of, what's it called? The Demon Rush. In fact, you're going to see multiple Demon Rush characters showing up right now. So let's go and transition over. Best of luck, Kowal. Enjoy the D.
Yeah, something like that.
This will be fun. All right, sounds like we are live. Welcome to Dragooned. Couple quick things before we get started. You'll notice at the top of the screen are butts, and at the bottom of the screen I was requested by Electro Fart enthusiast Pesmerga to showcase the Platinum Trophy for this game, which does exist. It's down at the bottom of your screen. But that's the only reason why we start on this screen, and I guess you can also admire the fact that the only games I own for this console are Dragooned, Bubsy, Skylight, and Shadow of the Colossus. One of these things is not like the other. But we're going to get started. This is an all challenges run. And all challenges means everything within this little challenges menu that you can see right here. I should probably remove the butts, but I'll just put them over here. My butts. There you go. You can still sort of see them if you're watching my stream, which is kind of fun, actually. But anyway, yes, there's a couple different game modes. If I finish this pretty quickly, then we'll go through and look at the other game modes as well. There's not a lot to look at here, but just go ahead and soak it all in. Joining me on the couch right now, I've got Corndan and Faizy. Why don't you fellows say hello?
Hello.
There is no removing the butts from this game, no matter how hard you try.
I will show you the depths of the buttitude, but let's go ahead and get this thing started. So here's the challenges list. I'm going to scroll through them before we officially start the timer. There are 50 of these. There's one for every character in the game, as well as 10 mystery challenges that we are allowed to select. We'll talk about these characters a little bit more later, and Corndan has a special surprise for one of our character challenges here. The basic premise behind this game is that there is what's called a perfect block, which allows you to block an attack and become immune to damage for 1 full second. You also have special attacks that have cooldowns, and the cooldowns are actually very interesting. They're based on not just time expired, but also things like how many times you've hit an enemy, how much damage you've taken, and so on. There's also ultimate attacks, just like in the Demon Rush, which is the universe this game comes from, and in fact there are Demon Rush characters on screen right now. The extremes, and extremes in this game are way not as broken as they are in that game, but they're still pretty good, so we're going to see a lot of those as well. I'm going to go ahead and get our timer started, but we're going to be playing it a little bit loose and light here. A typical challenge in this game only takes about 20 minutes, and since it's a 35-minute estimate, I figured it'd be more fun if we showcase some of the absolute absurdity that goes into the way this game's put together. So here's Cherry. You may recall Cherry from the Demon Rush. And this is the kind of nonsense that it tells you. If you can remember what any of these attacks are called, you're more impressive at this game than I am. But here we go. And she's dead. A lot of the challenges start with you having 1 hit point, so there's a lot of really tight timing in trying to one-cycle these attacks. So we're going to see if I can't get that on the 3rd try here.
Yeah,
Almost.
The important thing is this, you have to use stand ground to get your perfect defense, and then that way you can avoid the mage bolts. Otherwise you die.
I'm just loving the death animation.
The death animation is great. It's actually part of the reason why it's really funny that this run starts with Cherry, because she actually has the hardest challenge of the individual character challenges, with one exception.
I mean, I think I feel like I'm kind of the audience surrogate here, and that Corndan actually has notes on how this game plays and so on and so forth, and I'm just sitting here going, what the hell is this?
Well, to be fair,
There we go.
Notes. I have the notes, and it's still, what the heck is this?
All right, so here is Knight. Knight has an attack called Monster Bubble. It does this. He does more damage when he's jumping. There he goes.
Is Knight, just like in the Demon Rush, is he actually more of a magic user than a knight?
In theory. He does extra damage when he's in the air for some reason. I'm not really sure what that's based on. But Alberto does perfect blocks like crazy. We just saw that happen here. Now we've got Terra. Her special ability is hitting things with an axe. She's really good at it. I'll backhand this guy and then kill him. There we go. So that's Terra and her extreme. Now Pound is actually really interesting. We're going to use Pound a lot for the random challenges at the end. But Pound has the ability to fly, which I can move all over the place if I really want to. But mostly I'm just going to be chopping these guys and shooting earth tremors through the ground or whatever. We're going to move on to Cook. Now I want you to read the text here. This is really important. Keep the frizz blade out at all times and dodge whenever possible. Move it back and forth to deal big damage, prioritizing dodging the fireballs. So we're going to do exactly that. Just kidding, I'm just going to hold up and mash X. Alright, we're good. So here is Claire, and Claire is regrettably not as cool as she is in the Demon Rush, and that's saying that with the full acknowledgement that I hate her in the Demon Rush. She is the worst. But we want to go extreme and chop this guy's groin up and then stab him in the butt. There we go.
Claire appears to be Lara Croft.
Here is Jimmy. Now, Jimmy is regrettably one of the better characters in this game because he's got this attack, which is actually really overpowered. He can also just stab these ghosts because ghosts are terrible. So we're going to still kill these guys, stab that one in the butt.
But I mean, just like you and I have talked about this in the Demon Rush, Jimmy is clearly the surrogate for the D. Of course, Jimmy's gonna be awesome.
I think, yeah, it might be a projection. I do want to take an aside to talk about the D real quick. The D has made this game as well as multiple other RPGs, and it's a rule of my channel that we don't bash the D. You can bash the games, but don't bash the D, because the D is a one-man development team that somehow got 4 games out on paid services and 2 unpaid games, which is a remarkable amount of work for one person. That said, it looks like this, and we get to throw these and watch these guys just wander away. See ya. Oh, you're back! You're back! No! Come back here! There you go. Go away. Brooks crack tackle. I don't mean
I said a while ago that I've got a huge amount of respect for anyone like M. Dickey and Paul Bird and the D, regardless of the amount of trash I talk about their games, that they managed to actually put this stuff out.
Oh yeah,
like that's better than I can do.
So we should point out that with Brooks perfect defense has a knockback, so the other strategy is to perfect defense them into the hole.
All 4 of them. Although it's easier to just throw a flashbang at them so they don't know where they're going and they just wander straight into hell. Anyway, this attack is great. This one's really good. All right, this one's over. I press square one time, and that's how you win. We'll move on now to Tyler, who is quite a bit more interesting. When he takes damage, he does more damage, except that if he takes damage 4 times, he's dead. So mostly I want to run back and forth and punch them in the butt. He has a cool kick. It's terrible. It does 3 points of damage.
So it is about 90% of the strategy of this game just punch them in the butt.
For a lot of
these animations.
Oh, I died.
I love these animations.
Butt punching is extremely critical to the run. If you couldn't punch butts, this game would be unrunnable. I want to show off the extreme for this character because it is actually really cool in a bizarre and nonsense way. Basically, the idea with this character is I can place these barrels and then blow them up and do incendiary damage. My extreme reduces the cooldown on that power to 0. It's not as good as just, like, being shotgunny, but I can just stand there and mash barrels and explode them and stand in the fire. This is the first challenge that requires me to actually move around a lot. This guy has better damage when he's at close range, but these enemies are called Berserkers, and Berserkers will stab the crap out of you. They do 1 damage most of the time, but they attack really, really, really fast, and that's one of the recurring themes in this game is everything is way too fast. He does have an incendiary grenade. It empties the extreme gauge, which you can see in the lower right-hand corner of this screen. It counts up from 0 as I successfully do really anything, which means I was really not doing much of anything for a little while there. It empties it out to do a grenade that does extra damage. So this attack didn't do as much as the last one I did, but these guys are mostly dead at this point, so it shouldn't be too big of a concern. If I stay on the ground, I sort of get rooted temporarily. I can't move around very much. There we go. I think I killed the last one by accident. So I want to avoid shooting from the ground whenever I have a chance. This guy actually has a cool mechanic. He throws a little fireball that heals him just a little bit, and then he's got a machine gun that allows him to do a lot of damage very quickly, and dealing damage is how you reduce the cooldown on his tiny heal. so you can just chain them together. I just shot 2 mages off screen. You didn't see them, but trust me, they're there. All right, this is the hardest challenge in the game. Here we go. I pressed triangle. All right, we're good. So this is another one of those ones where they tell you a whole bunch of mechanics you can use. I'm just going to hold up and X. This guy has a machine gun, and these guys can't kill him. So, a couple of the easier challenges. All right, this one's actually cool. This one's not just a gag. This thing right here, this dude John A, is based around doing more damage when he's butt stabbing, which, as we've already determined, stabbing the butt in this game is very effective. But he does like double and triple damage when butt stabbing, so it's absolutely essential for him to do anything useful. But the other cool thing he does is he's got this power, which is basically a nuclear device. And it does a lot of damage, as you can see here.
That parallax scrolling is killing me.
Don't worry about it. It'll get worse. All right.
At least it's in the right direction.
This one's technical, believe it or not. I need to do a perfect block on the right side and use my boost. It'll allow me to kill 3 of these enemies. These terror-type enemies that they're introducing here have a mechanic where if they damage you with their melee attack, you are stunned for 1 second. And 1 second in this game is incredibly long. You're probably dead if you get stunned. So we don't want that to happen. So run over here, perfect block, and then chainsaw them to death. Now I can take a couple hits from this guy. I don't really care. Oh no, and then he's dead. Dual-wielding chainsaws is how you kill basically whatever you want. This character... Oh, I did it wrong. There we go. Let's try this again. This character has a grenade they pull. There we go. Oh, nope. Hey, hang on. The timing's a little off. We'll get there. There we go.
Are you trying to blow yourself up to blow them up first?
Exactly. This character has a power that does 50 points of damage to themselves. The challenge, you only have 1 hit point in. However, if you kill the enemies at the same time that you die, it counts as a success. So we just lure the enemies in and then happen to poke them with a grenade vest or whatever he's wearing that makes him explode. I'm not really sure how it works. I haven't played that game that comes from yet. Here's Dominic. Dominic has a rocket launcher, but Dominic is better at punching fans to death. You might recognize that character from one of our favorite games. And now that I've killed that dude, the mages are too dumb to shoot like an inch lower, so I'm just going to sit here and shoot rockets at them until they die. It seems perfectly reasonable. I also like the little foot wiggle on the bottom of the screen there. He just sort of rotates in place. Alright, this is actually the best character in the game. This is Arthur. And Arthur has a lot of mechanics. We're going to see a lot of Arthur later. Arthur's deal is that the more damage he's taken already, the less damage he takes from incoming attacks until they're reduced to like 1 or 2 points when he's in single-digit HP. He has a self-heal, and the cooldown on the self-heal is how many times he's hit an enemy. So if you're shooting at enemies, the cooldown ticks down by 1. I think it's like a 12-point cooldown or something like that. And he also has a knockback attack that will make his regular sniper rifle attacks give a huge knockback on people that he shoots in close range. So, with that in mind, we've got a lot of berserkers, but I don't really care. I'm going to shoot them into the wall. When you get knocked back into a wall, you take extra damage. Now I'm going to heal, because why not? And then I guess I'll just shoot this one in the back. Get wrecked. Arthur is absurdly broken. We're going to be using Arthur a lot later. I don't know why we're visited by salmon ghosts. I have no idea what's going on. This character drops little mine things or whatever. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I'm completely lost. If you think this is weird, you're not wrong. I don't understand. But the extreme mode allows me to summon more of these little dudes, and the little dudes heal her and also charge up my attack, so it does more than just 1 damage. You can see there's a lot of ones in there. That's because it's ticking multiple times every second. And I'm just
so confused by everything in this game.
Oh, the knockback is active.
You're not the only one.
I don't know why knockback is active, but it is. Alright, this is actually one of the harder challenges, so I'm going to shut up for the most part here. This character has a self-heal, and we're fighting a lot of enemies that are actually really dangerous. And so the best way to fight them is to sort of wobble back and forth with this weird, awkward jump and hit them with hammers.
Oh god, that background is wrong.
Alright, I got one more dangerous enemy, and then the guy on the ground is kind of irrelevant.
I can tell that background is meant to be a cornfield or something, a wheat field, but oh, no.
There we go. Alright, so now it's in the clear. I can just kind of wail on this dude. I'll probably hit my extreme soon. There we go. Extreme is to make it really cold, which stuns enemies, and when they're stunned, I deal extra damage. That was one of the challenges I was actually worried about. All right, this one's super easy. Robin's thing is she gets better damage the more she punches people.
So then you punch her in the butt.
It's a lot of butt punching, but you'll notice how much damage I'm putting out. It's actually ridiculous.
I am kind of impressed at the amount of work that has gone into making every single one of these characters pretty distinct.
Yeah, and actually some of the mechanics are really cool. It's just like everything else that D does, where the execution might be really bad, but the ideas are really interesting. This character can plant a cloud of goo, which she can then light on fire. There's one still alive, apparently. Please be shot by shotguns. This is unusual. I can fix this. There we go. There we go. That was weird. I don't know what happened there. All right, next up, this Craig dude. He's actually really useful for the random challenges as well, although we're not going to make much use of him in this run. His big thing is he has twice as many hit points as everybody else. He can swing a rocket launcher to knock people back. It's a melee attack. Don't ask me questions I can't answer, please. I have no idea. So
he can swing a rocket launcher as a melee attack, but he has a rifle for his normal attack.
Yep, and his extreme is he goes back to maximum health. You'll notice how quickly I charge up extreme and how slowly I take damage. This guy's kind of ridiculous.
Why didn't he just use the rocket launcher?
There are questions that really just should never be answered. This character's kind of cool as well. Both of his special things increase his damage. And increasing damage means I get to use his extreme, which pulls people into a black hole. Hooray! Alright, now we're going to do some more quality butt punching. Coming back to my roots here with butt punching. Oh, that was a groin punch. That was my mistake. Sorry, friendo. There we go. Butt punching for the win. Her special attack makes her damage increase. I don't know why. Stop asking me questions. This dude, his only power is he's really fast. So I basically just run around stabbing butts. He does have this extreme where he blinds enemies, which is kind of helpful. It's actually pretty good in this game. The enemies don't know where to go, so they won't follow you anymore, and they don't attack if you're standing right in front of them. He also pulses with Perfect Block, which I mentioned at the beginning of the run, makes you immune to all damage for 1 second, which is actually an extremely long period of time. Here's Miranda. We're going to put a cloud of healing juice in here, and then I'm going to chew these guys up. They might kill me. I got to dodge them once. Sometimes I can kill them before they can kill me. Sometimes I have to dodge them once. I have to dodge them twice. 3 times. That's terrible. Sometimes you get double damage on these guys, and I actually still have no idea how that works. But now that I've got my extreme active, I can just sort of run around and chainsaw guys for lots of damage. Here we go, sir. Come on. There we go. You would think a chainsaw would be more effective. Alright, this is legitimately, and I make jokes about this all the time, but this is actually the hardest challenge in the game. This character has 1 HP and his attack does 1 damage, and there are 2 berserkers locked in the room with me. At any moment, they can catch me by accident and deal 3 damage and kill me. So what I want to do is try to put myself in the air as often as possible and leave these little frozen things behind me. They freeze enemies for 1 second. 1 second, again, an extremely long period of time in this game. But more importantly, that 1 second gives me the chance to get back in the air before they can stab me in the foot. It's going to take
like the berserkers are just people with big blades for arms.
Yeah, well, I mean, how would you make them?
I mean, if I just had big blades for arms, I would probably go berserk. That's fair.
Well, if you had chainsaws for arms, you'd go fight zombies.
That's also true.
There we go. His extreme is he gets to throw a whole bunch of these steel girders around and then drop them on your head. That's actually a really hard challenge. I'm really glad that I got that so early.
Why?
All right, here we go.
Why does he drop girders on people?
Well, I'm confused by all the questions you're asking me, Pfizer. I don't know these questions that you're answering. It's...
Someone send help.
Oh, I got shot in the foot again. I thought I had the timing on that one. This one's not super hard. It's just kind of annoying because the timing's a little weird. There we go. That should do it. My golem kills them for the most part. All right, so now this is actually one of the funnier challenges. That guy with 2 chainsaws is going to be fighting me in a duel to the death. But I can kick him. Oh, get out of here, you. Into the wall. Over and over and over and over. And I might as well do this. That's fun. Pardon me, sir. All right, go away. And he died. Every one of her attacks knocks people back, so you just kick them into the wall over and over again. All right,
That's amazing.
This one's also hard, but this one seems to be pretty RNG heavy. This is Thormia. You might remember Thormia from the Demon Rush. And Thormia has all of his trademark powers, including summoning mooks and lighting the room on fire. And we need our mooks to help out a lot more than they just did, so this is bad RNG. We're going to see this one probably a few times. It's pretty much entirely random whether or not this fight goes as planned. I'm going to run around here. I'm going to try and roll. When you roll, you're temporarily immune to damage. Both of these characters are fast enough to deal damage during the animation coming out of the roll, so it's not incredibly safe. But it worked. All right, I'm glad that went really well. So this is the impossible. It's not very impossible. The solution is to duck and mash X. And victory. Oh, you survived. How'd you survive? Well, it doesn't really matter. I still had 70 hit points. All right, this character is actually my favorite one in terms of design. I use an attack to put a cloud on the ground, and then I can attack, like melee style, out of the ground underneath the cloud with like creepy green tentacles. This one's actually really cool. Hopefully I can show this off. I want to lure them into the cloud, and then when I use my extreme, it does double damage, and I just smoke these guys. It is the coolest. This dude is Polygdaman, and he... I'm not going to explain this. There is no explaining.
He has a shotgun.
It's better than that. There we go. That demon wall is my friend. His name is... It's literally all consonants. It has, I think it's 8 consonants in a row. It's got a Y in there somewhere, so it counts. It's a real word. This is... Go ahead.
Dragon Dark, I don't think there's Steve in this.
Sadly, no Steve. No, the only Legend Viper we get is Thormia. But we do get Space God Traven. Space God Traven's right here. Space God Traven, I think, is the bad guy from Gakduin. But we have all sorts of cool attacks as Space God Traven, so you know that the way we win is to punch this man in the butt. I mean, if you were a Space God, wouldn't you just run around punching people in the butt?
I'm still locked on that horrifying demon wall.
All right, Corndan would like to tell us a little bit about this character, John Socrates Deep Soulington.
Yeah, that's right. His name is John Socrates Deep Soulington. And one of the most popular TV shows... Yep, hold up. So one of the most popular TV shows in the Skylight universe is the show Who Ate My Face? And it tells the story of John Socrates Deep Soulington, who had his face mysteriously... Oh, it gets better. He had his face mysteriously eaten and was given his philosophy drive mode in return, a power that allows him to take any psychology or philosophy concept and take to the extreme, from deontology to utilitarianism to the ridiculous screamism and looping zooism and more. Despite the show's attempt to focus on philosophy and serious theme, the show often comes across as over the top and ridiculous.
I wonder why.
We're not done yet. We're not done here yet.
There's a lot more.
There's more. Within the Skylight universe, the Who Ate My Face series has garnered critical and commercial success when it ended in the 2030s and achieved syndication, with marathons shown on TV frequently. And your main character can watch TV in their apartment and see dialogue for any Who Ate My Face episodes that are at the time. Now, in 2048, which is Gakduin's starting year, the second Who Ate My Face film, Threnody of the Wyvern Mancer of Lust, is released, though not viewable by your character.
So, Faizu, this sounds like a show that would be right up your alley. So mechanically, the fun thing is that's actually emulated in the character design. The character's extreme allows you to bounce back and forth between philosophy drives, I guess, and it's totally random which one you get if you activate it outside of your extreme. If for our purposes, it matters very little. I'm going to just chop and chop and chop. Deep Soulington either takes a bunch of damage and dies right away like that, or he gets some other weird perk. In this case, I got the healing perk, which is okay. But once I extreme, it does a little bit of everything. So we got the healing perk, and also the extra damage perk, and also the increased movement speed perk right now. And now I'm not really worried about it. I'm just going to stab this dude in the groin with this Deep Soul Blade. There we go. Alright, we're moving on to Hansagashi. He's got mozzarella sticks. Here, I'll show you guys some mozzarella sticks. Let's see, there we go. Throw some mozzarella sticks. I'm gonna poke these guys with a cigarette, I think? I don't know. But this is important. This is the most dangerous power in the game. Angst!
His animations, his face, everything about this animation and this character model, I love it.
We are into the actual challenges now, sadly. These challenges do have best characters and worst characters to take into them. Arthur here, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the best characters in the game for a plethora of reasons. But we're going to be exposing some of that right now. I've got 8 enemies in this room with me. They're all on top of me, I can't go anywhere, but I'm taking so little damage because I'm already low health. My damage is absurd because this guy does more damage at long range, and I've got knockback built into my weapon, so I can just run over here and blast these guys into the wall for extra damage. Plus I have a self-heal, I'll use that over here. Shoot these guys in the groin for a little while, they'll die real quick, don't worry. There you go. Alright, so that's challenge 41. We're on to 42. So many explosions. The way to beat explosions is to be immune to damage and have knockback. Psych, I have all of those things. Go ahead and heal, just run into me, that's cool. Yep, thank you. Alright, we're good. Alright, we're getting a little bit weirder now, though. So this is 8 miners, and we're actually going to use Alessis here. You might remember Alessis from having this weird little cloud. And the reason this is relevant is because I'm going to put 2 clouds down. Pardon me, please move, thank you. And I'm going to use my extreme and lure them in, and these guys are just going to melt. This fellow here is surviving for quite a long time. There we go. You can blow up the clouds for extra damage, so that kills that guy a little faster. Blades of Plenty. So this one's another Arthur one. We fight Thormia and a butt-ton of Berserkers, and the way to win this one is basically to kneel in the corner, cross your fingers, and self-heal a lot. My extreme for Arthur does nothing except extra damage. He's like the most ridiculously overpowered character in the entire game. But now we move on to the Paralyzing Field. Now, Noah was the really hard challenge I did earlier, and 4 terrors also stunned, so everything stuns in this fight. And we're going to take Pound. Because Pound can fly, and I can cause an attack to come out of the ground while I'm up in the air here. This is the safest way to complete this challenge.
Well, this seems fair.
So for some reason that I haven't been able to figure out, Noah has the ability to, like, skyrocket in this fight. I don't get it. I have no idea how that works. If you play the character Noah, he is the worst character by miles. He is awful. Alright, there we go. He should be pretty close to dead now. I'm surprised he's not already gone. So he might girder me. I might just fight him. Nah, I'm not going to be able to get there fighting him. There we go. Alright, so that was one of the ones I was resetting a lot on in practice, and then I realized that Pound was super cheating. Alright, the Freight Train, Lucia and 2 windmills, everything knocks you back. A lot of these are like, everything does this. I will introduce them to proper knockback with Arthur, who is a cheater. Arthur gets knocked into a wall and becomes better because he's got lower max HP now. Nope, she's dead. And the windmill's dead. Easy peasy. Then we have the speeding ticket, Claire and Sippy. So this one I can actually lose, which is shocking to me because most of these challenges are absurdly easy. But what usually happens if I don't get that lock where they get sort of stuck in the corner and I keep bumping them back, is Claire just kneels down and throws knives at me until I die. And she's actually faster at damaging me at range than Arthur is, which is really weird. Alright, so this one is another one that we're going to cheese with Pound a little bit. Not quite as much. I actually want to stay low so that they have a chance to remain near me. They'll start wandering off on their own if I don't stay low. There we go. Pound is the best. We're almost at the end now. A battle against Mia and Alessis. They actually both suck when they're AI controlled, so this one's actually trivial. I hide over here and shoot them, and they sort of like run into me and try to block every once in a while. They're really bad at this. The really funny part is Mia has a shotgun, which only does damage at short range, and she won't come close enough to use it. She'll just stand there and not attack me. She'll like spam attacks at range that don't hurt. So that part's done. And now we're on to the most evil battle ever. And people who have seen the All Challenges mode of the Demon Rush, which is probably the 6 people who were in my stream when I was doing it, and probably nobody else on the planet. This is a recurring theme in the D's games. There's always a most evil battle ever that people have to do in challenge modes. And for this one, we're going to choose Super Broken Man, Thormia, and Pound.
I want to say that the most evil battle ever is a really bad name.
Yeah? You don't say.
Just wanted to throw that out there. You know, despite everything else we've been seeing throughout this.
So that's
what stuck with me.
I actually have to play this one a little safer. I actually have to use my knockback here. Do a lot of damage. Oh, Space God Traven is here to punch me in the butt. Space God Traven is a pushover. I can just kneel and use him to heal. And Noah is back. Now, Noah's a little bit more trivial when he doesn't have friends around to help out.
He might girder you, though.
He might girder me. Oh, no, he's dead. So now we've got Mia. She's just going to hang out over there and be useless. You do have the ability to change characters during these challenges if you have, like when this is 3 different characters. Which is great, but this guy's so overpowered that I only ever use the other 2 characters if I get a bad match. And there are like 3 or 4 characters who can win a fight with this character, but they're pretty rare. They're not really... I'll move around a little bit for Sabine.
I am curious, and I'm worried by the potential answer to this, but if you've got a moment to talk, what is the rest of the game, the non-challenges part of this?
Well, the great thing about having... I can stop the timer now. The great thing about having a timer on for this challenge mode is I put in a 35-minute estimate, so I actually saved a little time to show you, Faizu.
Oh, God.
That was all 50 challenges. That's the end of the category. I think my PB on that is like 18.5 minutes, so obviously we talked a lot during that. So the different game modes, there's a tutorial to teach you how to play, which Jimmy here is being very helpful. He's explaining the rules. There's a reference, which I'd be happy to show off. Most of the character section, all the characters have their own personal reference. They don't give you any backstory, really, but they tell you how the mechanics work. So here's John Socrates Deep Soulington,
who is clearly the most important character in the game.
From what you just saw, this is the amount of dialogue that the game expects you to recall in the playstyle.
Oh my
Deep Soulington.
God.
Yeah. Here's Space God Traven. You may recall that he's the guy that I did butt punches with and nothing else. Feel free to read some of this, actually. This is some good stuff. Go ahead and try and digest any of what is going on here. That's enough of that. There is an Onslaught mode, which I'll show you Onslaught. This will be over really quick. I'll take Brooks.
Of course you're going to take Brooks. Who else are you going to take?
Well, here's the thing about Brooks. Brooks is really slow and really bad in this game. The best way for me to fight ghosts is to run away from them, because as we all know, Brooks Crack Tackle's afraid of ghosts.
Well, if Brooks wasn't really slow and really bad, he wouldn't have died.
That's... First off, that's offensive. You wound me, Faizu. So Onslaught mode is exactly this. It is enemies infinitely... There we go, we got Auto Blaster up, so we're a little better now. Enemies infinitely, they start to get a little bit better over time. We should start seeing some mages soon. Brooks is hella good at killing mages, though. Let's just kill this mage here. Their little mage blast thing doesn't do any damage to him because I'm kneeling. That's the secret tech to beat mages. If you're ever being attacked by a wizard in your life, I want you to know that if you kneel, you're perfectly safe. Throw that out there. There we go. And just do this. Pardon me, ghost.
Is that a Utah fact?
That is a Massachusetts fact. Alright, so that is Onslaught mode. There's an achievement for getting 120 enemies in Onslaught mode, and they start to scale up to all the scary crap we saw during the actual challenges. There's Skirmish mode. I want to fight 3 enemies, and I'm going to do that with Arthur. I guess I could also bring in Pound and Chainsaw Man. I'm fighting Pound, Chainsaw Man, and Thormia. That seems fine. And we can fight in a random arena. I want to point out, they're on easy difficulty. I guess that means they don't move for the first few seconds. I don't think I've ever fought these guys on easy difficulty before. What a waste that would be. There's an achievement for fighting 3 guys at max difficulty, and it's quite easy to do.
I'm impressed that all of the arenas appear to have their own name and location and lore from the
Oh, of course. Could you imagine this game without it?
That would just be terrible.
It would be, like, why would you even play the game at that point?
Exactly.
But, I mean, this highlights what Kowal brought up earlier. The D goes super deep into, like, everything, right? And it's more that it just doesn't turn out the way it should.
But, I mean, there is nowhere I'm going to say that the plot or dialogue or anything like this is good or should be read by any human being ever. But the actual gameplay mechanics, there are some interesting things in here, and in most of the D's games.
Yeah, they're pretty fascinating. There's actually a lot going on in here. There's one more game mode. I'm going to show it off while you guys talk. This is the Endless Dungeon mode, which is 5 rooms in a row. You'll see them currently. I'm going to take my favorites in with me. Thormia is actually baller in this game. And this is it. This is the mode. It's a dungeon like this, 5 rooms at a time, with these little upgrades here. I'm going to run to the end. And every room you get these key guys that you need to kill in order to advance into the next room. So I'm going to shoot these guys up. You guys can continue to talk about the game while I show this off for a little bit.
I'm just getting flashbacks to Escape from Atlantis now, and that goddamn bird stealing my goddamn key. But no, I mean, I'm just impressed. Like, I don't think the D has ever released anything that I would call good, and everything is flawed. But mechanically, there are some really strong ideas in here.
I think if the D had a full development team behind them, they'd actually produce some pretty amazing games. There's actually a lot of really interesting design that goes into these sort of works of love.
I feel like the D may need a handler to prevent some of the insanity. I mean, you know, someone to say, you know, I liken the D to Kojima in a sense, where I think like you never want to see Kojima go full Kojima. There's something that's going to be very, very wrong about that.
So the Endless Dungeon mode has boss fights every 5 stages where you have to fight another character. Sometimes it's more than one character. I believe it's every 10 or every 20 stages they get worse. There is an achievement that I've gotten for this game that involves clearing, I believe it's 200 levels. And they get progressively harder. The enemies increase their damage at a rate of 2% every 5 stages. The main character increases their stats at a rate of 1% every 5 stages. So it continues to scale in that way, and the enemies get more complicated. But once you've completed that and all the challenges, that is it. That is the entirety of the game. There is no multiplayer in this fighting game.
How much did this cost?
$5.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. So if you too want to play Dragooned, and I don't see why you wouldn't, it is $5 on the PlayStation Network. You can acquire it right now, and there is no multiplayer mode. But if there was, I would fight you. And with that, I think it's time for me to turn it over to Brosentia and then subsequently NPC for No Rules Get Fat. And I will see you, audience, in about 40 minutes when we start up Back to the Future.
Never go full D.
Please.
Well, that was a treasure. That was beautiful. It looks like we are just about ready to go over